Hello, everyone. This is the Free American Press with your host, Alexander Horat. And today we're being joined by a very good friend, Patrick Cullen of the Missouri Freedom Initiative. He's been fighting in Missouri really hard against tyranny and has helped with the Second Amendment Preservation Act, SAPA. He helped get that passed, as long as a Missouri gold and silver bill, which I think is really great. So he's been doing a lot of great things in the state of Missouri, and we're just happy to have Patrick back on the show. Hello, Patrick.
Hey there, Alex. It's been a long time. It's good to be back. Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, it has. It has been a long time. Uh,
And since the last time we talked, we did get the Constitutional Money Act passed in the state of Missouri, the most robust, advanced, aggressive, and all-inclusive silver and gold bill the United States has ever seen before was done right here in the state of Missouri.
that's definitely true, and a large part of that was done with your work, Patrick.
Well, there was a lot of people involved. I may have organized it and everything, but I can't take. I mean, Citizens for Sound Money helped out. Economic War Room helped out a little bit. Not to mention the people in the initiative. My goodness, Jim Pellis. You know how much work Jim Pellis did. Isaac Gaither. I know people don't know these names, but thank you very much for recognizing the Missouri Freedom Initiative. But I'm just a part of it. I'm the organizer for the initiative. But many people worked silver and gold in the state of Missouri, and people from outside the state came in to help us with silver and gold as well.
Yeah, let's go. I think it would be good if we go over the bill first, and then we can go over how some of the hurdles that you took passing it. So yeah, if you'd like to tell us some of the contents of the bill and what it does in
Sure.
Missouri.
In fact, it's as opposed to giving you the dry technical details that have people fall asleep. I'm going to give you the major points. So number one, legal tender status for physical gold and silver. That's a big deal. Not many states have gotten this done, but we got it done, and it was actually signed by the governor July 10th, and it becomes law August 28th. So it's not too long from now.
Yeah.
Was that 15 days from now? So that's when it becomes law. Okay, but that's just the beginning. We're scratching the surface of what we got done here. Secondly, the state will start taking electronic silver and gold for payment of taxes, ATM, debit card from bullion bank.
Oh, wow.
So we're the very first state where the state is going to accept gold and silver, electronic gold and silver for payment of taxes if offered by the taxpayer. No other state's ever done this before. This is brand new. So let's continue. We got rid of capital gains taxes. That's exciting too, because that was the last barrier to actually making it legal tender. We didn't have sales tax in the state of Missouri on gold and silver. But wait, there's more. On top of that, we actually incorporated something called anti-commandeering doctrine. We have now made it illegal to confiscate gold or silver without due process in the state of Missouri. We are using the 10th Amendment here. No other state has ever done this before. This is a first as well. But also, too, we have silver and gold contracts written in our bill that became law. That means that if a contract is written in between two parties, and that contract is for a dollar amount, they could also do it for a certain amount of silver or a certain amount of gold. We can actually do silver and gold contracts that will be legally accepted by the courts in the state of Missouri. No other state has done this. This is
Wow.
big, Alex. This is actually akin to starting the process of bringing common law back to the state of Missouri because we have a loyal title for gold and silver. We have it because, number one, there's no taxes on gold and silver anymore. Number two, it's legal tender. And number three, the courts recognize that gold and silver are money. And in fact, if a silver or gold contract goes to court, a judge can't substitute gold or silver for a dollar. They have to keep it what the original contract was for. So once again, no other state has done this before. But also we had some, what we call gravy in the bill. And the gravy is kind of cool. The gravy is if an employer wants to pay their employees as part or full for their compensation, they can actually do it with gold and silver if both parties are agreeable, if the business is agreeable and if the employee is agreeable. No other state has done this before. So we got a lot of firsts done too. It's pretty cool stuff actually, and so I'm actually planning, and we've got our first, if you will, a seminar, basically for businesses on how to use gold and silver in their business for transactions with gold backs, coins, or debit cards. And so we'll be doing the first one September 18th in Owensville, Missouri, and then one coming after that in Eureka, Missouri. And we might have one up in Belton, Missouri as well, shortly after that. But they're coming up pretty quick. So we're not just passing bills here to give people their rights back to use gold and silver. We're also taking full responsibility for writing the bill and supporting the bill and getting it turned into a law by literally showing people how it works. That way, we have an alternative transactional system set up in the state of Missouri in case we move to a central bank digital currency or a stablecoin.
Yeah, I think that's really great that you got that passed. So basically now consumers can buy things with gold and silver if the owner of the business is willing, and they can also pay their taxes with gold and silver. So pretty much what you did in the state of Missouri was set up gold and silver as a new form of money like it used to be, and is competitive to the dollar.
Well, actually, what we've done is a little bit. You're correct. You're right in what you said. But what we're doing is we're making sure that people understand, at least number one, have knowledge of this system. Number two, understand how it works. And the reason being is because we need a secondary transactional system in case the federal government goes tyrannical with a central bank digital currency, with a stable coin, and of course with inflation. Now, if people want to start using gold and silver as money, you're going to find out if you hold that long term, it doesn't go down in value. It only goes up in value because the dollar keeps going down in value. So, yeah, that's a lot of fun. Try having $100,000 in a bank account through COVID. And by the time COVID's over, your $100,000 is worth about 40% less because the price of goods have gone up. Now, if people had $100,000 worth of silver and gold before COVID started, after COVID was over, they would have had nearly a 100% increase, in the not 100%, but about 80% increase in value of their silver and gold because the dollar has gone down. So people just have to be made aware of this. One of the worst things about being in an inflationary system, Alex, and from my point of view, and by the way, I'm just a computer tech. And yes, I write legislation, and yes, I go up to the Capitol and I support bills, but I'm an IT guy. So, you know, how much time do I have between, basically working a job and doing stuff at the Capitol and, anything else that I need to do to be able to learn about all the investments out there so I can stay ahead of inflation? Suddenly, the Federal Reserve has foisted upon me that I need to learn how the stock market works. I need to learn how to make investments. I have to spend all my time figuring out how to make sure that my money can stay above inflation. Or I can just start using silver and gold.
Right.
80 hours a month to learn investments or just use silver and gold. It's so that's kind of the way I see it. And I'm somewhat of a simple guy. But I am certainly not going to be chasing down stocks in the stock market, and chasing down, gains in the stock market. But a transactional system where the money is deflationary, like gold and silver, is a good idea for everybody.
I definitely agree with you there. It's definitely better than holding dollars that inflate and are worthless year by year. Uh, so a big question that I have for you is how do you think the federal government's going to react to Missouri doing this? This is kind of a competitive currency now that not using US dollars. Do you think they'll do something or have they already done anything?
No, they've not done anything. SEPA, they did sue us. There was lots of entities that were suing Missouri when we said we weren't going to acknowledge federal gun law anymore. Yet that law stood for 2 years before it was overturned by the Eighth Circuit, and the Supreme Court's looking at it now. So, yes, we did get quote unquote molested by the federal government on SEPA. On gold and silver, I don't think they will because everything we did was 100% constitutional.
Yeah,
There's nothing in our bill that wasn't constitutional.
owning real estate always has been and always will be one of the best ways to secure your future and build generational wealth. Whether you're buying or selling or reinvesting in the US, be sure to reach out to me through the link below and I can help you. I'm a licensed real estate agent in Northern California. Or if you're needing help in a different state, I can refer you to a good agent to help you with your needs. And by doing this, you'll be supporting the channel and me continuing my work, and you'll also be getting a good service as well. And another way you can support the channel is you can follow me on Patreon and Ko-Fi if you'd like to help me out directly through that. Through donations, that would be great as well. So I can continue delivering this information. And I'd just like to thank you all for watching. The video continues now. Thank you. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, well, I think this is really great. So, what were some of the hurdles that you had to go through in getting this passed and getting this through the legislator?
Well, there were a lot of hurdles, and there were 3 years, 3 actual years of trying to get it done. Now, 2023 and 2024, we got right up to the finish line, but we weren't allowed to cross it, and that was because of Dean Plocher. We had a very corrupt Speaker of the House in the state of Missouri. His name is Dean Plocher. His political career is destroyed now because he got caught up in lots and lots of scandals. But at the same time, he was able to stop our bill. He had the power to do that in 2023 and 2024. Now, he wouldn't have stopped it, but he was trying to leverage the most popular bill in the state of Missouri, which was the Missouri Constitutional Act. He was trying to leverage it against Bill Eigel, Senator Bill Eigel, and others in the Senate to get House bills that he considered important through the Senate. So, in other words, Dean Plocher would say, you can have gold and silver, but here's a list of 12 or 13 bills that I want heard in the Senate before we hear silver and gold in the House. And of course, everything he wanted was a corporatist bill. In other words, corporations were behind the bills and would benefit by the bills. And
Yeah.
that's against Article 1, Section 2 of the Missouri Constitution that says the laws apply equally to everybody. So we do have a lot of corruption here in Missouri, but eventually it gets rooted out. I mean, the grassroots did a great job exposing Dean Plocher, with everything he was doing, because we go after corrupt politicians too. And that's the Missouri Freedom Initiative. It's actually in our charter to do that. So that makes it sometimes harder for us to get legislation done because sometimes people are afraid of us up in Jeff City when they see our faces up there because they know what we're capable of if there's corruption.
Yeah.
And so like, for instance, I couldn't meet with Dean Plocher. He wouldn't meet with me. But when Citizens for Sound Money came up, he would meet with Daniel, Daniel Diaz from Citizens for Sound Money. So he would meet with someone he didn't know, but he wouldn't meet with me. But I lead the Missouri Freedom Initiative. And so it was a strange situation. So the first 2 years, we couldn't get it through. But there were many other. In fact, I've been asked to write a book about it. I don't have time to write a book about what we went through to get this done. But we got everything we wanted from day one, with the exception of the depository. No, we'll start on that again next year. But we have a treasurer that doesn't want it. His name is Vivek Malik. And he tells me to my face that he has no problem with the depository. But as soon as a bill sponsor approaches him, he has a completely different story. He just won't say it to me. So at any rate, yeah, we deal with personalities. We deal with corruption up in Jefferson City, and every state has it, gang. Every state has corruption.
I
Uh,
agree.
whether or not you know it is irrelevant. It's there, trust me. And we have to deal with it because we got to get stuff. We write our own legislation. We work with bill sponsors. We give them a lot of credit. So thank you to Senator Mike Moon in the Missouri Senate and Representative Bill Hardwick in the House, in the Missouri House. These were our sponsors, and they did a fantastic job. In 2023 and 2024, in the Senate side, it was Senator Bill Eigel. But unfortunately, Dean Plocher did not let the bill have full hearings in the House when Bill Eigel was still a senator. So Bill Eigel termed out because you can only run or you can only hold a position, a state office, for 8 years. So
Yeah.
he was a senator for 8 years. He officially termed out, Bill Eigel. He ran for governor and lost to Mike Kehoe for governor. And so have we seen the last of Bill Eigel? I don't think so. But at the same time, Mike Moon was always backup for Bill Eigel. When I choose bill sponsors up in Jefferson City, I always have a backup. And so, like for instance, these are some of the tricks they play. And by the way, I'm not making this up. We've seen this happen before in the House. I've not seen it in the Senate, but I've seen it in the House, where they'll take a bill and they'll put it on the floor when the bill sponsor is not there that day because of an emergency surgery, or emergency medical situation. And then the bill sponsor's not there. So who speaks on behalf of the bill? Basically because there is no sponsor there. So that's why I always kind of pick a backup. And it's an informal thing. It's not even a formal thing. It was, when Senator Eigel, agreed to carry the bill, I said, I want Mike Moon to be your backup, and he goes, backup? What are you talking about? I said, in case you're sick, in case your car breaks down on the way to the Senate, in case of any given things. That way, if they bring the bill to the floor and you're not available, then Mike Moon can speak to the bill. And he goes, oh, I see what you're saying now. He goes, absolutely. Mike Moon's a good choice. So he didn't even understand what I meant at the time. So these are one of the little things that we do here because we have seen that happen before. Once again, never in the Senate, but it's been done in the House quite a bit. And Dean Plocker was no stranger to that kind of stuff, by the way, in the House. So other hurdles were when Citizens for Sound Money donated enough goldbacks for every single legislator to get a free goldback. And during that time, there was a documentary crew filming me in the Capitol. And and that was, while we were, I held a rally there. So I did some speaking, and that will come up in a TV show this fall. And I'll give you more details on that when I have it. I currently don't have that information, but I know it's this fall.
Yeah.
And it's like Discover and A&E maybe. I can't remember. I think there's 3 channels that this will be on simultaneously on. It's a very, very popular show. The producer was able to shop it out to a lot of networks. And it's about gold and silver, by the way. So I'm a part of that. And so while I was doing what's called B-rolls, and that's when you're outside and they're filming you climbing stairs or walking up the sidewalk, that they kind of have, these B-roll shots that they play while the documentary's going. And during that time, right, in the Capitol building, which I was outside of, someone in the House said into an open microphone that Patrick Holland with the Missouri Freedom Initiative is buying off senators and representatives with gold. And so we had to cease and desist our operation of handing out goldbacks that were worth $4.44 each. So we had to stop that operation. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that they can pull. And I can find out who it was. I don't know that I really care at this point, but that's the kind of stuff they pull on us when we're up there. And remember now, we are not lobbyists. We do not take donations. We have no corporate backing whatsoever. Every single person, including myself, is on their own time and on their own dime to go up to the Capitol and do this kind of stuff. And so I'm very, very fortunate to have a large group of people that believe what I believe and come up and work with me. And by the way, we vote on whatever bills, that we handle. That's the last Saturday of the year, every year on our live stream. And it's on YouTube, it's on Rumble, it's on Twitter, it's on Odyssey. And basically, we vote on what bills that we're going to carry for that year because their pre-filing starts in Jefferson City December 1st. Usually by the end of December, we have a pretty good idea of what bills we're going to support.
So how can somebody in a different state like you do a grassroots effort to get the similar bill passed?
I don't know, because the etymology or the genesis of the Missouri Freedom Initiative is unique. And I'm not 100% sure that it could be emulated with gold and silver. Now, if you have a gun bill that you like, or, firearms, Second Amendment kind of stuff going on, I can tell you exactly the way we started because that's where we started the Second Amendment Preservation Act, SAPA. And that was, I already had a group called Truth, Money, and Freedom podcast. I'm sure you remember that, Alex.
Yeah.
Okay. So we already had a group. And so it was pretty large, relatively large, for a YouTube channel. And when we decided, and that'd be Jimmy and myself, if I remember Jimmy at all.
I do.
Um, okay. And Jimmy passed away in 2022. He's the guy I started the initiative with. But so we kind of decided to go ahead and start supporting SEPA and basically to repurpose the YouTube channel and, at least temporarily, basically to work on SEPA. So what I did to get a lot more interest was go to all the Second Amendment friendly groups on Facebook that were in the state of Missouri. It was really that simple, Alex.
Yeah.
There was, and they didn't even know about the bill. Like most people don't know what's going on in their states. They have no idea what's going on legislatively in their states generally. People have much more of an idea of what's going on in Washington, D.C., because they're not paying attention to their states. So these folks had no idea, SEPA was even a bill that was going on, so they hopped on board. They were very excited about it. The whole idea of telling the federal government, to go pound sand, go fly a kite, you're not going to be enforcing federal gun laws in the state of Missouri. That's exciting all by itself,
Yeah.
but there was so much more to it than that. And basically, and then once we got SEPA completed and got it across the finish line and actually turned it into law in 2021, um, we went on to gold and silver, which is something I did talk to the Missouri Freedom Initiative about in 2021, even before SEPA was done, because we had a good feeling we were going to get it done in 2021. But I said, basically, if anyone likes the idea, I'm thinking about the idea of writing a bill to make gold and silver legal tender in the state of Missouri. Is anyone interested in that? And just, once I'm 53, I should be smarter than this. But people who are into firearms are generally into gold and silver. So,
True.
so it just happened to be a good fit, and we kept the whole group together, and we all worked together. And shout outs to all kinds of people in the initiative. Cindy Stratton, Voodoo Queen, is another one. We have wonderful people, and we have thousands of people in the initiative. It'd be impossible for me to name them all. And so they come up to the Capitol and help out, and we do everything by live stream and by email. So everyone knows when we're going up to Jeff City in advance. And so if they have the time off, if they have the day off, they can come up there and help us, work with us to get this done. And also, they get to see how their government works. They get to go up and visit with their representative and senator. And I want to tell your audience something. I think if they know this, they'll be better off. For those of you who understand and really truly get that there is corruption in every single state, going after that corruption, basically in social media, the allegations of corruption is fruitless. Nothing ever happens. Going up to your capital and meeting with these people eye to eye, politicians are scared to death of that. They don't like that at all. You want to scare a politician? Go meet him in person. Go talk to him.
Yeah.
That is if they're corrupt. If they're not corrupt, they're of course going to be very happy to see you and welcome you to the Capitol like they do in Missouri. We got wonderful folks here in Missouri. I talk about the corruption in Missouri. The real pure corruption is about 5 to 10% of the body politic. And then there's a lot of corporatism after that. So I'm not sure that that's 100% corruption, but there's some really good people here. I mentioned Mike Moon and Bill Hardwick. There are many others. Rick Bratton, Senator Rick Bratton, is a good one too. I can keep going down the list and everything, but they are in the minority. So we're talking about the constitutional conservatives up in Jefferson City make up about 15, maybe 20% of the body politic. The rest of them are corruption or corporatists.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned SEPA. So SEPA got overturned by a federal court, right?
Yep, the Eighth Court of Appeals, Eighth Circuit.
So is there any fighting for getting SEPA back?
That's complicated. That's very, very complicated. Yes, there is. However, there's a couple, maybe even three camps on how to proceed here. And there's a lot of people that want a brand new SEPA bill. And Originally, I was okay with that. Originally. Now I'm not, because if the Supreme Court is going to look at our SEPA, I suggest we wait to hear what the Supreme Court has to say on it. But they absolutely will not look at SEPA if we have a new bill in the state of Missouri to replace SEPA in order to get it back. So
Yeah.
we have a choice to make, and it's really simple. Can we wait it out, or do we have to have that bill done right now? I prefer to wait it out. And there's a lot of good reasons why, Alex, but for those people who follow state laws, basically, if the Supreme Court weighs in on SEPA and says SEPA is good, there's no problems with it, that is the fastest way for other states to adopt it.
Right.
That's what I want. I want other states to adopt the same law that Missouri did for SEPA. No other state has even come close. No, a lot of states say they have the Second Amendment Preservation Act, but they don't have the enforcement mechanism, the teeth, the claws that actually give it real weight.
Yeah, is there any way you can keep SEPA if the Supreme Court says no to it? Is there any other options?
Oh, yeah, then we can just redo the legislation completely.
Okay.
So, but if you do that, then the Supreme Court will drop having a hearing on the original SEPA bill.
Yeah.
So you have to be patient. You have to wait. And it might take 2 years. And there's a lot of people saying, nope, we don't want to wait 2 years. We want something new now.
And if you
And
make a new bill, there's the possibility of them just striking it down again, right?
well, yes, there is a possibility of that, but it's actually kind of unlikely. SEPA was very, very popular with the state of Missouri, just
Right.
like the silver and gold bill was. So I mean, it's these are very, for lack of a better phrase, these are very sexy topics. Your gun rights, and then silver and gold is money. These are really sexy topics. It gets people's attention, and so and people like these bills. So nothing says freedom like guns and gold, right?
That's
Um,
true.
so at any rate, that's once again. I personally think we need to wait for the Supreme Court to weigh in on this. That's my opinion, because I want other states to literally start doing their own SEPAs that are much closer to Missouri's. And that right there signals a lot of strength when you have enough states coming together saying, we're not going to follow federal gun laws and federal regulations anymore. We're not interested in ATF or any other agencies recommendations and regulations anymore. We're going to follow our own state laws on guns. And so that's exactly what Missouri said. And we even went further. We took a 10th Amendment option saying if anyone enforces federal gun laws in the state of Missouri, they'll be fined $50,000 per incident per person.
Yeah.
So that was the teeth in our bill. Lots of other states had the same language. In fact, they borrowed the language from our SEPA bill without the teeth, without the enforcement mechanism. That's the only thing that gives it weight. So you could say you have SEPA all day long, but law enforcement can violate it because there is no enforcement mechanism. There is no punishment for actually breaking the law.
Right. Yeah, I think that was really great how you got SEPA, and I hope the Supreme Court rules favorably for SEPA, so that will stay law. So getting back to the Missouri Gold and Silver bill, so you mentioned depositories, how you were had that in the bill, but that got taken out.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell the audience a little bit more about that and
Sure.
strategy for getting it put back in the bill?
Yes. It was in the original bill, which we called SB 100, filed in 2023. That was what we called the entire enchilada, the enchilada bill. We had everything we wanted for gold and silver in there. We basically got all of it in the end, except for the depository. Now, the depository was a source of contention and ended up having to be removed in 2024 because the treasurer of Missouri, Vivek Malik, was okay with the idea when I visited with him every time I visited with him. But when a bill sponsor would visit with the treasurer, he'd say, nope, don't want it. Take it out. I'll actively, lobby against your bill and tell everyone in the Senate and everyone in the House I don't want it. which you don't want the treasurer doing, by the way. But that's not what I was being told. So once again, this is part of the corruption. If the Missouri treasurer can't be straightforward with someone like me that's up there supporting a bill, but only feels he can be honest, with the actual legislators, then he's a true politician because he wants my vote, right? And he makes me feel like he likes the idea. He likes my bill. He likes the whole idea of silver and gold. And he's from India, Vivek Malik.
Yeah.
And where silver and gold are steeped in their culture, it's totally steeped in their culture. But that turned out not to be the case. He didn't want it at all. So consequently, what we're going to have to do is, and I'm working on this, and I'm working on a lot of things right now. And some of it I could talk about, some of it I can't. But one of the things I'm working on is getting a meeting together with bullion banks to meet with the Missouri treasurer and myself and Citizens for Sound Money, possibly Economic War Room. Because if this is a deal where he simply doesn't understand a depository, why it's there, how it works, what function it serves, we can answer all those questions for him. He never asks me these questions, and he doesn't have a lot of time for me when I visit with him, so I can't go through all these things with him. If
Yeah.
people are flying in from out of state, multiple people flying in from different states to come in and have a meeting with him, he's much more likely to give him a couple hours of his time. And so maybe we could sit down and figure out exactly, why he's hesitant to have a depository in the state of Missouri, and also to understand all the free market options where he can have a depository through a bullion bank for free and doesn't
So
even have to pay for it.
does he really have any power to stop the bill?
Well, okay, treasurer, okay, we have 5 statewide elected positions in the state of Missouri. So we have governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, attorney general, and treasurer. So those are the 5 where everyone in the state gets to vote on all 5 of those people, all 5 of those positions. Treasurer is one of them. Yes, to answer your question, yes, he does have. Now, does he have the clout with the General Assembly? I don't know. He has full access to them, though. Full access. I've seen him visit with senators in their offices before, and it's usually having to do with fiscal notes on bills, and Department of Revenue does that. So, but at any rate, it's pretty tight up there. When you go up to the Missouri Capitol, everything's in one building with the exception of the Attorney General. They're in the Supreme Court building. That's where their office is. But everyone else, governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, they're all right there in the Capitol with the legislators with all of their offices. So you can go meet with them. Now, meeting with the governor is tough to do. So I'm not giving anyone, false hope here. I'm not saying if you come to the Capitol, you can definitely meet with the governor, but you can meet with the lieutenant governor. You can meet with the secretary of state. You can meet with the treasurer. You can meet with senators. You can meet with House people. And generally, you have to have appointments for the 5, state positions. During SAPA, I was meeting with the attorney general as well, right in the Supreme Court building. And so meeting with the secretary of state as well, basically during SAPA. We're doing that for silver and gold as well. These people are very accessible, is what I'm trying to say. The governor is the harder one to get a hold of, and that's just because a lot of people want the governor's time. So you got to set up meetings months in advance sometimes to be able to get, your 10 minutes with the governor, that sort of thing. But for the bill signing, that was kind of neat. I had a little bit of time to chat with the governor. And so we'll put up some videos before and after. Pictures have already gone out. That was a month ago that we had the bill signing. And we did put out a press release that's on our website. There's a couple of pictures from there, but there's a lot more pictures, and there was a lot more people there too, by the way. That was a tighter group that we did for our public photo because everyone there was Missouri Freedom Initiative with the exception of 2 chiefs of staff for senators.
Yeah.
So that was the people that showed up from the Missouri Freedom Initiative from the bill signing. So there's bigger pictures that are a bunch of people that were supporting silver and gold, including other legislators. that came just to witness the bill signing. This was an exciting moment for a lot of people. This is something we thought we were going to have done in 2023. It was just an easy bill, totally constitutional, nothing unconstitutional about it, nothing wrong with how silver and gold was written, not, basically the definitions on silver and gold. Um, so we kind of have the model bill for the entire nation if you truly believe in a transactional system for silver and gold. Missouri's bill is the first one everyone should be looking at if you don't currently have it done in your state.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. So what are some bills that you're planning with the Missouri Freedom Initiative in coming years?
Okay, that gets a little more and that I'm not 100% sure yet, to be honest with you, but depository is something that I'm looking into. Getting rid of property tax in the state of Missouri is another bill we're looking at writing, but unfortunately, that's really, really, really complicated, and I'm not sure we're going to be ready for that for 2026. But I'm going to try. Um, we've talked about bills to get rid of chemtrails in the state of Missouri, like Tennessee and Florida have done. Um, and shoot, there's been other ideas that have been floating around. But we'll see how many bills I can write. Once again, I could write a million bills if I wanted to. We still have to vote.
Yeah.
I lose knock and shock, Alex, if we don't vote. I meant, why would everyone come up to the Capitol and join me for knock and shock if they had no say in what bills we were going to, support as a group? So there is always voting. And so the best time to ask me that is the first week of January every year. What bills are you guys supporting? That's the best time to ask.
Yeah. Sounds good, Patrick. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add to this video that you like?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for, I wanted to expand a little bit more on what I was talking about with these seminars, basically, of just going around the state, which is something that I did do to support the silver and gold bill in 2023 and 2024, which is going around to Republican Central Committee meetings statewide. And I was just driving to anyone that would have me there as a featured speaker. And I would literally explain the silver and gold bill to the Republican Central Committees so that, number one, they understood the bill. Number two, they would support the bill. And number three, that they would put pressure on the senator and representative from, those districts that are represented by that committee. And so that was wildly successful. Now that we got silver and gold across the finish line, it is law here. It is time for us to teach businesses how they can actually do this easily, quickly, simply, get up and running inside of a week, taking silver and gold for the payment of products or services. And that's something else that I'm starting too. And like I said, the first one's Owensville, Missouri. That'll be on September 18th. And we're going to put out promotional materials for that in approximately about a week. And we'll start, getting the promotion on that. But we're taking it all the way. It's not enough just to get a bill like this done. Remember, I was telling you, Alex, that most people have no clue what's happening in their states because they're too
Right.
busy watching federal news and federal, politics
They're too busy watching the ball game.
or the ball game or playing video games or whatever they do.
Yeah.
So we have to get out and educate people and businesses on gold backs and using them for transactions. Getting a UPMA or a Kinesis or a Glint account, set up. Preferably if you're taking gold backs, it might be best to do it with UPMA. And there's reasons for that. Basically, if you want to send your gold backs to UPMA for storage, or if you have enough of them and you want to send them in to convert them into, basically another currency, for instance, the dollar or a pound or whatever it is you want. UPMA is the bank to do stuff like that. So at any rate, we're going to start teaching people how to do this. And I talked with Daniel Diaz on the phone yesterday with Citizens for Sound Money. And he's talking about the possibility of making sure that I have a lot of support for these meetings by making sure people from Alpine Gold are at these seminars. People from Citizens for Sound Money are at these seminars. People from UPMA are at these seminars because we have agreed to the Missouri Freedom Initiative, myself specifically, because I can only make promises for myself. But I am working with Citizens for Sound Money for the education of how transactional gold and silver works, and we're working on this nationwide. It's not just in Missouri. So, at any rate, that's a big part of what I'm doing right now. And the thing is there's never any rest during the summer. The legislature or the legislators meet, from January to May, and the rest of the year they quote unquote have off.
Right.
But our grassroots organization never has any time off. There's always stuff to be working on, and educating the people is a big part of it. Alex, I'm on the radio quite a bit as well, on podcasts all over the internet and stuff. So, but meeting with people in real life and showing them how to use silver and gold transactionally is a very, very big thing that's about ready to start for us next month. And if the model works, we'll expand it nationwide.
Are you still doing those meetings with the prepared homestead?
Yes, I sure am. But we're doing something a little bit different over there right now. I'm working on the Rife stuff, the Rife machine stuff. And so that's an entirely different topic. We'll have to do a different podcast on that one.
Oh, we definitely should. Let me take the time to share your site, the Missouri Freedom Initiative, for everyone.
mofree.org.
So here it is, the Missouri Freedom Initiative, and then you have Mike Maloney here. He's a really great guy, and what he talks about the hidden secrets of money.
Great set of videos, by the way. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Alex. Guys, I want you to know I rarely recommend videos online for people, but Mike Maloney's Hidden Secrets of Money is definitely worth your time. Guaranteed.
And you can watch it right on their website. So how can people join the initiative?
Uh, that's a very, very good question because we're kind of loosely organized. So basically, just literally go right to our website and go ahead and get on our email list. And so if you go to our main page, it should pop up automatically as a pop up, unless you have a pop up blocker.
Oh, right here.
You could
Click.
click to, yep, clicked for our newsletter. That is the primary way. And by the way, there is no donation, there's no membership, there's no fees, there's no sign up sheet. We don't operate that way. We never have. So at any rate, that's what we do. And by the way, I'm not joking. I mean, we don't have a 501c3. We don't have a bank account. We have nothing. We have three words from the American Dictionary: Missouri Freedom Initiative. We created a logo for it, and that's all we got. But we're very well known in our capital. Trust me.
And it's really great you did that without having the money involved because money breeds corruption.
It does indeed. And I've seen it happen to good people. I really, truly have. I'm not just saying that, to belabor the point. It really, really, really bothers me, a couple of them that I saw go into politics and what happened to them later on.
Yeah.
And because the money got to them, basically. And I've seen it happen in grassroots as well, where people went in with the best intentions, and as soon as they started taking money, their opinions on things were changing. And so then they started fighting for something other than they started for. And so at any rate, yep, the Missouri Freedom Initiative is free of all that because we have no corporate backing. There is no bank account. There's no way to make a donation to us. Just join us up at the Capitol, and we make it very public when we do it. And come join the fun. Come, actually meet the politicians, go talk to them face to face, and support the bills you like and kill the bills that you don't. And that's exactly what the Missouri Freedom Initiative does each and every year.
Yeah, I guess I do have one more question that I just thought
Mhm.
of. I probably should ask earlier, but one thing I see here in California, my state, is the state Senate and the state assembly. All their top donators are the same people, like
Mhm.
PG&E and Walmart. So I
Mhm.
was just wondering if you see that in Missouri as well.
We do. And not PG&E, but we do see Walmart. Yep, for sure. And
Yeah,
we're talking about PACs and super PACs. So we're talking about big donations here, folks. This isn't like a $1,000 donation to politicians. Walmart only deals in PACs,
right.
so in super PACs, because Walmart, when they're donating money, it's usually $25,000 and up, per politician that they want. So, but yeah, so yes, we do see that here in Missouri as well.
Yeah, well, I really thank you, Patrick, for your time and making this video with me. You shared a lot of great insight.
Hey, no problem, man. Thank you very much for having me back. And I'll tell you what, I think we should probably meet again after September 18th. Oh, there's another thing, Alex. On August 24th, we're going to be doing a silver and gold 3 hour extravaganza on the radio here in Missouri. And it's 101.3 FM if you're in Owensville, Missouri, because that's actually the radio station will be coming out of. But if you're not in Owensville, Missouri, just go to molibertyradio.us. It's at 6 p.m. on August 24th, and we're going to have 9 very, very big names from the silver and gold industry, and they're each going to have 20-minute slots during this 3 hours to talk about Missouri's bill and transactional gold and silver and opportunities in gold and silver in your state if you have made it legal tender. And that's a very important radio broadcast. We got the entire 3 hours blocked off for us. So, and I'll send you a reminder, Alex, if you want to let your people know as well. But there is a high probability we'll have some big names there, very big names.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to be to do that. I think that's great, and I hope the audience can check it out too.
Sure.
Yeah, well, thank you, Patrick, again, and I hope we can have you on the show again soon.
You bet. Thank you very much for having me, and best of luck to you, man. And keep you're making videos again. Good for you, man. Keep them coming.
Yep, they're gonna be coming. And thank you again to the audience. Please subscribe and comment and share this video with your friends. That would be great. And I just thank you all for watching. Goodbye.